Hey everyone, it is Tuesday, and part of our expert series, we will be speaking to Matt Seamus in the afternoon. Matt's been with us for a long time, but we took a little bit of a break because he welcomed a new addition to the family. So let's welcome Matt and hear a little bit about the new addition. How you doing, young man?
I'm doing great. Doing great. I had two boys, and we added a third to the mix.
A third boy.
Third boy, April 7th, Walker Jeffrey. He's, so he's strong and healthy, eating well, sleeping, just doing all the right things. So,
That's awesome.
I'm thrilled. I was telling you before, I have this double-edged sword of like, I have three beautiful, healthy kids at home that I'm getting to spend a ton of time with, and my wife.
Yeah.
But no childcare because of the shelter-in-place order, and we're just being particularly cautious
Sure.
with the newborn. Like we don't want any possible liability entering the house. So
Of course.
we have no childcare, and that means that I am running at maybe 10% of my capacity production wise.
Yeah, because you are the protector, the jungle gym. You're lots of things in that kind of environment.
That's right. So we're making the best of it, and I'm outside today because we have a beautiful day. And given given how we don't have childcare,
Yeah.
my office flexes, and sometimes it's outside, and that's where we are today.
There you go. Well, I like it. I like it. And we just got to ask, right? The wife did all the hard work. She's okay as well?
She's great. She's great. She did amazingly. Third baby is, in our experience, at least, it was definitely the calmest, like eerily calm labor.
Okay.
And no, she did great.
Awesome.
Can't complain. Everyone's doing well.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear.
Thank you for asking.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, the wives do all the hard work. Our interactions, 5 minutes or whatever it is, months ago, right? They do everything else after that. So good. I'm glad to hear it. And glad we got Tuesday afternoons for our sessions now, because the mornings are kind of toss-ups for you, I'm sure. So Tuesday afternoons is our time. So something I thought I would talk about, given we haven't spoken in 3 weeks, is, I think it's fair to say, right? We've both been in the game a while. The world's going to be different after this health event, right? We're both in the Bay Area, so shelter in place is now the 15th of May, is what I heard. But I see cascading ripples, right? A rock has been dropped in a body of water, and there's just ripples that I see coming. And I don't know the duration or the severity of the ripples, but I know they're coming. And I'm just trying to figure out, okay, so when do I get aggressive, right? If you'd have asked me a month ago, I'd have been like, ooh, early Q4. The lot more time when I'm like, ooh, maybe after Christmas. And now I'm like, man, it might be 12 months from now. So I was just curious, when you look at all of this and you try to play this out, where do you see potentially getting uber aggressive in all of this?
Well, I'll answer that, but then my question for you afterwards is going to be, what's driving your change in timeline? Because I'm curious about that.
You got it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in data gathering mode right now.
Right.
I'm trying to understand the ripple effects, to use your analogy, and trying to get a sense for how they're going to play out.
Yeah.
So with a couple exceptions, we are right now minding our own store, getting our own house in order.
Yeah.
And then which we're in pretty good shape. And then just trying to kind of be a satellite, gather information, and it's too early for me to have a strong hypothesis, but I'll give you a couple kind of threads that maybe we can pull on that I'm thinking about.
Okay.
So we have one triple net sale leaseback in our portfolio, and we have a couple, really one other triple net property. And triple net are, commercial properties where the tenant is responsible for basically all the operating expenses. So property taxes increase, insurance increases, maintenance, costs increase. Those are borne by the tenant. The landlord doesn't have responsibility. So like an example might be a Dollar Tree or a Dollar General, like a freestanding store.
Yep.
Or a Jack in the Box. Those are good examples of triple net leases, and they typically have long-term leases in place. And really, you're buying the credit worthiness of the tenant more than the property in many cases. So we have, for the last couple of years, been kind of dipping our toe in that world because we felt like it serves a couple purposes. It's a defensive play in a downturn, and it's stable and consistent income. Now, that is assuming that the underlying business is still in operation, right? Because again, in these kinds of deals, really you're underwriting the creditworthiness, the ability of the tenant to pay your rent. They typically have long-term leases. So one of the things that I think is really interesting looking forward is kind of having a little bit of a defensive posture. We're gonna, maybe an opportunity is to clip off or put together a portfolio of just really stable, high quality, not going to reach, and try and get a little bit higher yield. We're going to look for a consistent, reasonable yield that's going to be steady, and it's going to be, kind of defensive in nature. And I think that might be, I think as regular people that have money invested in the stock market, that have a 401k, that have money probably, at least in the Bay Area, tied up in their company's stock. I think many of those people are taking the opportunity now to reconsider their risk tolerance and just to consider, how much do I really want to be exposed to the stock market? How much do I want to be exposed to the fluctuations in my own company, my employer's stock price? So I think that it plays pretty well with, with that. If that does develop as a trend and investors do start thinking a little bit more along those lines, I think that's an interesting thing to look for. That's going to be, a huge part of our strategy, but it's something that I'm about. And then on the other kind of end of the spectrum, there's certainly going to be distressed opportunities that come out of this. And I think we're going to be looking for essentially as much distress as we can possibly find. So that will mean maybe vacant or largely vacant buildings. That'll mean, basically look for the pain. Where is the greatest pain? And do you have any unique ability to go solve a problem? That's really what we are, right? We're problem solvers as real estate investors and entrepreneurs. So looking for the pain, and there's just going to be more pain. I don't know exactly where it's going to show up or how it's going to manifest. There's certain asset classes that are clearly, in more trouble than others. Retail, hospitality, clearly, in more trouble than others. But I think that's it. I think we look for, let the environment continue to kind of play out. I think the month of May will be very telling because you have a lot of states that are beginning to reopen in some capacity. You can have lots of different data points and different anecdotal stories from different areas. California is probably going to be on the tail end of that. I think, I'm not expecting anything until probably end of May, early June. And so I'm in wait and see mode. I'm in data gathering mode. And the other thing that we're doing right now is taking the opportunity to load the gun from a capital perspective. Right. And so that is, nurturing relationships with some of our investors and just staying in touch with people and letting them know that this is what we're doing. We're not taking massive action today because we don't feel like it's the moment yet, but we are developing, some investment theses. So That's how I'm thinking. But let me throw it back to you. And I'm curious,
Yeah.
what is changing? What are the inputs that are changing your timing? I'm curious.
Yeah. So really the biggest change is the response from the federal government. It just seems to be they are going to, frankly, I don't know if overhelp is the right word, but help for longer than would probably be reasonable to consider, right? Again, my experience predominantly is residential, right? Single family homes. So when we entered this, I was like, okay, even before all this started, I'm like, we're going to have 15 to 20% unemployment, right? And it looks like we're going to exceed that. But this is what I was thinking. I was like, okay, I've been here before. There's going to be a lot of people that rightly or wrongly can't pay their mortgage. And yes, there's going to be forbearance because that was very clear early on that the government was going to do something.
Yep.
So we heard 90 days. So my initial reaction is, okay, 90 days. Some people will be able to pay that fourth month. Most won't. Some will get workouts where their payment goes up a little bit to make up what was short. Because this, as you know, forbearance is not forgiveness. It's a pause.
Yeah.
It's a delay. And what I saw coming is, a significant percentage. You could argue, is it 20, is it 40, but it's meaningful. Wouldn't cure, right? Wouldn't be resolved. And a foreclosure, that process would start in month 4. And again, in my market, that would mean properties come out the other end month 6, month 7, month 8, depending on how fast. So originally I was thinking, okay, the banks are going to want to hustle. They're going to want to get this off the books before Christmas, really before Thanksgiving. And then the longer this went on, I'm like, ooh, no, this could easily go into December, and there's no chance that they're going to do anything in December. So now we're talking January. And now there's more and more talk about, okay, there's no going to be the fourth month payment. They're going to take that off the table and force everybody to renegotiate. And then they're talking about some people have 12 months. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. I mean, how long is this going to go on? So for me on the residential side, is as far as owner occupants, I believe many of them are going to wave a white flag, say health event, and pretty much be given a pause freely. And that just means that it's the summer of next year, because once you've missed your payments for 12 months, most of you aren't curing, most of you. It just won't happen.
Have you, I think I asked you this a while back, but maybe a few weeks ago, have you, or are you intending to have you go back to any of your lenders and take advantage of forbearance or mortgage deferral?
No, zero. I do not plan to ever do that. I will go back to my lenders. I was planning in July or August, once we've had a couple of months of this, and try to refi some debt. Right? Hey, I've proven I can pay. I'm good. Why don't you do me a solid? Let's recast the loan and lower the interest rate so my payment goes down. But no, I won't be asking for forbearance on anything. If I were to go to forbearance, I mean, it could happen theoretically, like September, October. I'd have to get my economic occupancy would have to fall under 50%, right? Before I'm to that point.
Curious about this because I've actually had some questions. I manage a private Facebook group that is like a lot of actually Facebook employees and former employees who are interested in real estate investing. And many of them own single family homes.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are like questioning, should I go through this process of requesting, forbearance from my lender? I'm curious what you have a stance. Your position is no, you shouldn't.
No, I mean, assuming you can pay.
Tell me more.
Right. Assuming you can pay, right? So if you truly are a restaurant worker or retail worker and this event took out your income, by all means, that's what it's there for, right? By all means, no judgment, no nothing. But if you're an investor and you have the means to make that payment, you better off make that payment, because what's not being said, the dirty little secrets, is your file will be flagged. Your credit will be hit. Yes, I know they're telling you no credit hit, but they're going to put a little flag in your file saying requested forbearance. And as an investor, yes, you could maybe bank a little money now, but you are really going to impact your ability to get cheap debt for the next 5 to 7 years. So anybody who requests forbearance and takes it, I believe is raising their future cost of capital several points. And that's penny wise, pound foolish, in my opinion.
If you had a guarantee that that wasn't the case, there wasn't a credit, there was no credit impact, there was no flag of your file. Because I actually, as you mentioned that, I haven't thought about it from that perspective. And I did not consider that may be the case. So if you were guaranteed that wasn't the case, does that change your mind?
No, I don't trust banks, and I don't trust credit reporting agencies as far as I could throw them. So no, I don't trust them. I don't trust the government either. So no, I don't trust any of these people. Credit reporting agencies have they're going to flag it. They may not put it in the file. They may not ding you, but your cost of capital when we get through this will be higher because you asked for it. There's no question. That's what lending is all about, right? You prove your worth as a quality investor in these tough 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Lenders will remember that, and there will be categories of people who asked for it and who didn't ask for it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So the other thing is I love the debate around. So for me, it's not such a question of where maximum pain is, to take your word. I think we all know that it's the timing, and I am like most people. I want it today, right? And talking with you, I'm telling you, shoot, it could be next summer. That's a long time to kind of sit there and wait, right? So I see maximum pain, obviously, in retail, right? Strip malls specifically that aren't anchored by grocery stores, right? Grocery stores are pretty solid. The market I feel worst for is Las Vegas. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I mean, Vegas could see values drop 70%.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to be shut down almost all year.
On the tourism and the service-based economy. And
even when they open, it'll take a year I mean, when do the conferences come back? When do people feel good enough to go be around 1,000 other people they don't know? When do they feel like they have enough money they can go gamble again? I mean, Jesus, can you figure another way that this would be just bad? I mean, it's just, it's scary.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And not to mention getting on a plane to go there.
Yeah.
And then, I think you're probably right. I think Vegas takes some time to bounce back.
It'll be a decade. I mean, I can't, my crystal ball doesn't go out a decade, but yeah, I can't see it coming back in a decade. I mean, and that just means there's a long, I mean, that downturn is going to be years in the making.
Yeah. Anything about this change your feelings about your home market of Fresno?
That's a good question.
Your home asset class of single family homes. I mean, does this make you feel better or worse about that?
Oh, I love that you asked this. I actually been debating this. So I actually went up one level because I have about 50-50 small apartments versus single family homes, but they're all Class C, right? They're all 50-year-old homes. You know, lots of them are 3-bedroom, 1-bath. They don't make those today, right? So a lot of it's this older housing stock. So I've been thinking a lot about, am I glad to be in Class C or should I be in Class A? And historically speaking, I mean, all the pundits say Class A is the place to be, right? Long-term, Class C has no protection. They live paycheck to paycheck. They can move. They can double up. You know, there's so many people that talk down to Class C. I keep thinking about it, and I spent hours this weekend thinking about it. And I'm like, I think this health event is going to prove that affordable housing is actually stronger than Class A. And I want to debate this with somebody because I want people on the other side, but this is what I think. It basically boils down to 3 factors: supply, demand, and who are we helping? So who is getting help today? And now it's for a short time, but still it's most impactful. Class C tenants typically are retail, restaurants, lower income, right? Typically. When they get unemployed, why they were bad historically, like in the Great Recession, like in the dot-com boom, is unemployment couldn't pay the rent. Unemployment was enough to feed them, but couldn't pay the rent. Now you got this $600 kicker.
Yeah.
Where
a week.
A week where more than half my tenants will make more money sitting on a couch than they did working.
Yeah.
I'm thinking they're going to pay rent and they're going to be just fine, right?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And compare that to Class A. A lot of Class A tenants made too much income, so they're not getting any help. If they do get unemployed, unemployment doesn't make up what they have. Sure, they have more reserves, but I don't know. And then I think supply demand. Where's all the supply going? Class A. All the new stuff's Class A. It just pencils better, all of that. Class C, they don't make them, right? Class C kind of evolves over time.
Yeah, right.
Right. And then where's the demand? Here's the big kicker. Where do I think demand will be a year from now? No question, affordable housing is going to be far more demanded than Class A stuff, because Class A is going to trade down. I believe this event, and this is not a popular belief today, but I believe this event will be our Great Depression from a mindset shift. I've done a lot of reading over what changed in the Great Depression, and a lot of it was consumer behavior. A lot of that was because the event was 12 years in duration, right? So if you grew up, like if you were 10 years old and then you exited at 22, you were fundamentally different.
Yeah.
And I think this health event's going to grind for years. It's going to be a slow slog out like the Nike swoosh. And I believe consumer behavior will trade or change. So that means people will trade down. They'll buy less Teslas. They'll buy less Gucci bags or Louis Vuitton or Cartier or whatever those high-end crap is. And they're going to trade down. And I think we're going to have the federal government clearly come in and turbocharge affordable housing. They're going to come in with a bigger double, triple Section 8 program, because that was a big outcome of Great Depression was we needed safety nets, and Section 8, the housing program, was one of them. I'm guessing that housing program is bigger and probably 2 or 3x on the other side of it than going in. So I don't know. I feel really good about where I am today. And I don't know that I would have said that 6 months ago. But again, I'm so judgmental of myself. It feels like I'm biased to my own stuff. So hopefully you can debate with me and tell me I'm an idiot. But that's what I'm thinking right now.
No, I mean, we all are. Like we're all biased. No, I don't think I have I don't have strong opposition against your viewpoint. I think if I was going to debate you, I would say, I'd give you the Class A, softening of demand. I think that's like fairly
Reasonable,
obvious.
right?
Yeah. I think that's fairly obvious. I think the compression into Class B, from the Class A tenants is going to be real.
Yeah.
And then I think on the other hand, Class A tenants are going to be, like you said, less affected by a temporary reduction or in income.
True.
But will also, I think that this is shutting down the economy is disproportionately affecting lower income earners.
No question.
They can't work from behind a computer.
Correct.
They need to physically go do something.
Correct.
To their job.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is, so there's some data points around there that I'd be interested in looking at, if I'm making a Class C housing investment today. Mm-hmm. But I think Class B I'd be very comfortable with, mm-hmm. because sure. I think you give up a little bit of the potential return, at least the paper return.
Yeah.
For some stability.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you just have a little bit, I think that you're going to get demand from, like I said, coming down from A's.
Yeah, I agree.
The other thing that I'm curious about is the dynamic that you mentioned. If you make 40 grand a year and mm-hmm. Before coronavirus, and you go on unemployment, you're making more on mm-hmm. unemployment than you were at your yep. job.
No question. What
kind of disincentive, and how strong is that disincentive going to be to go back to work before the kind of additional federal unemployment benefits are removed? Mm-hmm. I think you're going to have a lot of people that say, and yeah. there's other dynamics too. You have a lot of people that, like, imagine your lower income families have a more difficult time finding childcare. Mm-hmm. So if you have a family with 2 young kids and, dad's able to continue working, but mom has temporarily had to stop working, when this is kind of easing up, I think you're still going to have moms say, well, I still can't find anywhere for my kids to go. Speaking of my kids, I can't find anywhere for my kids to go. So I need to kind of stay at home. I think there's just
Yeah.
there are more dynamics to consider
Yes.
that I don't have good data points on, but if I was going to debate you, I would want to have some data around.
Yeah. So I think there's certainly going to be truth. I've already heard data from people who got PPP loans that were going to bring employees back, other states, so not California. These are other landlords and other friends I have. And they've actually heard from more than half the people, no, I don't want to come back, because they're making more money sitting on the couch. So
Yeah.
that is real. The good news is, at least on the current legislation, is that's 13 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm a betting man, and I bet you that becomes 26 weeks before this is all over. But it will end. There will be a cliff where the $600 goes away. Hopefully, when the economy is coming out, I think we're going to have an infrastructure bill as we exit this. It's going to kind of be like get America back to work thing. It's going to be trillions of dollars in the making. And really what comes out of this is, I think two things are guaranteed on the other side of this. You can question when they affect. One is higher taxes for you and me. Both is income, both on, carry interest, capital gains. They're going to close, I suspect, some tax loopholes for real estate, like Prop 13. Ooh, that's in trouble in California. We're so far behind. The $250,000 tax-free gain on your primary residence that you sell every 2 years, that's in trouble. Taxes are going to change because of this. And then inflation. I don't see hyperinflation, but I see inflation, especially as the infrastructure bill kicks off and we're competing for resources. And if we get Mark Cuban's $15, minimum wage across the country, I mean, there's all these things sound good, but man, there is a dark side to them. And that's going to be, we're going to have inflation, a couple of years down the line. But that's why owning physical assets like real estate's a good thing. And if you buy it early with cheap debt, you're a genius.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to mention that. It's always levered income producing assets where are great for inflationary purposes.
Yeah. I mean, think about it, right? Let's just pick a number. Let's say you get mortgage debt of some kind on any asset at 4%, just picking a round number. Inflation coming out of this from like 2022 to 2026 averages 3.5.
Right.
You're doing okay.
Yeah.
You're doing okay. Right. So.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I'm curious to ask you a question, because we talked about your perspective on forbearance as a borrower.
Yep.
But I'm curious for the aspiring investor, or maybe I've got one single family home and I'm kind of moving towards my second, but my income has been affected by coronavirus and I may be eligible for unemployment. Would you have any suggestions for me in that scenario? Should I take up unemployment? Is that going to affect me negatively?
Nope. Unemployment won't affect you. Take it. I mean, if you are, you're a gig employee, a realtor, right? There is no credit downside. There is no banking rules that will hurt you. Take it. Take unemployment. That's what it's there for. We're trying to help everybody. We've told everybody to stay home, so take it. Absolutely take it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, hopefully we start opening up in May, June, but that's the big thing is, too many people think this is going to be just a V recovery. And if we just look at other countries that have started to open up, people are not coming out. They're not shopping. They're not going to casinos, right? Macau has put out some data about, it's like no one's here. So this is going to be a slow grind that we pay for years to come.
I think you're right. I think the V recovery for me is out the window. That's not happening.
No, it's a U at best. You got to worry a little bit about a W. The best one I've heard of, it's the Nike swoosh, right? It's kind of down really fast, and then it's just,
I think that maybe. I think you could see some signs early on of there's pent up demand, right? There's pent up demand across.
I don't know what you mean by demand, right? You got to be. I mean, yes, I want to go get a latte at my local coffee store, right? I want to go to a restaurant again. But
yes,
I know. Is that demand? I guess it's demand, right?
Yeah,
We're caged animals and want the goddamn door open, right? We want to
that's
get
right.
out. Yeah,
That's right. No,
that's
no,
true.
that's what I mean. You
Yeah.
got people that are going to want to go get their haircut, go back
Yes.
to a restaurant, go to a coffee shop.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think a bunch of people are going to go sit in a movie theater right away.
No. Yeah. Movie theaters, sporting events. Oh my God, my season tickets at the Warriors, those are gone all year, I'm sure. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. So, but I do think there's demand. So I think it wouldn't be unreasonable to see like once we hit the bottom, kind of a quick like
yeah.
spike up,
That's fair.
and then a more steady kind of dribble sideways or upwards.
Yeah. So I guess there's two questions I've been asking my experts. So when do you think, what quarter or what year, depending on when you want to answer, when do you think we get back to single digit unemployment, meaning 9.9%?
I'd be purely
Yeah,
speculating.
of course. That's what all this is.
Um, I haven't asked myself this question, but my over under,
Yeah.
I don't think it's in 2021.
Yeah. It's right. It's not
I
2020.
think
It's not
I think
2021. Yeah.
I think it might be 20. I don't know. I think it might be 2022, but it might not. It
Yeah.
might be after that.
And see, that's why I love that question, because it makes you think, because that decision right there shows you how far out the opportunities might be, right? And that means there's no reason to be a hero here. Don't catch a falling knife. I don't know who said it, but it's often related to stocks. But the same thing holds true with real estate. Don't try to catch a falling knife. This is you are going to have opportunity. Learn your market.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No,
here,
I think that's right.
yeah. So okay, here's another one. Opposite side. When do you see the Fed raising rates above 1%? Today they're 0 to 0.25.
I don't know.
A decade?
That's way past
Is it,
2022.
it's a decade, right? I mean, it could be a decade.
I think lots of things are going to have to happen together and for an extended period of time before the Fed starts raising rates.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's almost impossible for me to
Yeah. As far as
again
I'm
like
willing to go is a decade. I do not see them touching the rate the entire decade. I
yeah.
don't see it. There's too many things that have to go right, too many pieces that could fall down on each other. There's already proof that when they raised last time in late 18, it shook things up, and that's the last thing they're going to want to do. But again, we're also going to have this huge debt, right? Every time you raise the interest, the carry on our debt's going to be a problem. So I mean,
this is gonna be a point of discussion. I think that will grow is the national debt and the tools that the Fed is using right now to to just accommodate this economy. Hey, give me a couple minutes, big guy. I'm almost done. Okay, I'll help you clean it in a few minutes.
oh, that's all. You want to show him on camera? Is he shy?
Hey, Libby,
No.
come here. No, he's
shy.
dead
That's
now.
okay. All right. Hey, at least we asked. Hey, man. Well, thank you very much for doing this. I know you want to say anything before we wrap
I
up?
was just going to say, I just think like, I think that the discussion again around the national debt
Yes.
is going to be increasingly, maybe not like dinner topic for most people, but it's going to become more mainstream.
Oh yeah.
And I think the toolkit and the playbook that the Fed is using right now
Yeah.
is, largely experimental. And depending on how it works, it's gonna be how the Fed does and how they think they did, how they assess themselves afterwards is going to dramatically impact what they do with interest rates. It may be that the prevailing wisdom when we come out of this is that in this kind of globalized economy, lower interest rates are just here to stay.
Yeah, it could be.
And it may just
It
be
really
that
could be.
we've kind of reset our appetite for debt.
Maybe.
And we're not gonna, it's almost like you can imagine a situation where we just say, we're not even going to apologize for it anymore.
Yes,
it's just what it's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you got time for one more question, I'll ask you, do you think we ever go negative? Do you think the Fed ever goes negative?
I think there's a reasonable chance of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
I don't,
that's a bridge. That's an interesting bridge to cross. I hope we don't have to, but it's possible.
I think there's a reasonable chance.
Yeah.
That's a whole other, I mean, the bottom line is the world has already changed,
Mm-hmm.
and it continues to evolve and change.
Yeah.
You and I and everyone else as an investor is trying to figure out, what are the new rules?
Yep.
How do I play the game now? And I don't think they're determined yet. They're being, determined. So
Yeah.
to your point about you don't need to be a hero today. The goal line's moving.
Yes.
So every time you
goal
take
line's moving, the tools, the number of players, it's just everything's changing. Just sit down, relax.
it's a tricky environment. You got to be really sure about what you're doing.
Yeah, very cool, man. Well, I appreciate you doing this. Enjoy your day, enjoy your kids, and have a lot of fun. All right.
All right, Michael. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Take care.
Yep.